Well, hello, dear listeners and dear viewers, and welcome to Job Market Watch with Len and Michele. What we're going to do is talk about the most pressing issues faced in the job market today, and we get to talk about it, hear Len's opinion, I'll give you mine, and then you take away what's best for you. Len, how are you?
I'm great, Michele. Nice to see you again.
I know.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, it's great to see you too. How was your summer?
My summer was good. Still worked too hard, but it was good. You know, July, the weather was a little bit crazy. August wasn't bad. The summer.
Yeah, the summer. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
A big change from last summer, right, Len? Remember when we were doing our navigating the new normal in the international and local workplace, right? I was working
and not leaving the house.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, at least we got out again a little bit. Yeah.
I know. So here we are in September of 2021, and we've got a lot to talk about. So let's get straight to it.
Okay.
First up, Len, unemployment has run out. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. The federal government just announced that it's expiring, that the benefits have expired and they are not renewing it, right? Self-employment and gig workers who were receiving unemployment, now that's discontinued for them, and they're not going to be able to claim from the state, from what I understand. There was a specific program called the Pandemic Unemployment Insurance Act, PUA, created in 2020. That's ended. Len, what's going on?
It's crazy times. This is the new normal again. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is a really weird job market, okay? Because there are tons of jobs out there in general, okay? I'm talking on the professional side and specialty areas. And then if you walk around, every store, every restaurant has signs up, okay? To the point where my little 7-year-old grandson walking with me says to me, "Papa, why are there so many help wanted signs?" And I said, wow, he's noticing this. And this is all you see. Now, if we look at the unemployment, I don't know if the ending of unemployment is going to help or hurt, to be very frank, because there are a lot of jobs out there, but you're still getting mixed feelings. I mean, the hospitality industry, restaurants were decimated, but every single one of them is crying for help. They're cutting hours, cutting days. I have restaurants near me shutting down for 2 or 3 days because they can't get help. So where are all these people? I'd like to think that maybe they were just collecting unemployment, and maybe this will be the real stimulus that gets them back into the economy and back to work. But then you hear from other people, "Oh, I can't get a job." Well, I don't know. On the professional side, my staff, I love my staff, but we talk about this all day long. Nobody returns phone calls. No candidates return phone calls.
Oh.
And I say, okay, I don't think that's totally because of unemployment, because I don't think, even if you look at the unemployment numbers, they've come down a bit, that all those people are unemployed. So I don't know that that's going to solve the issue we're having. I think the issues are much greater. I think the problem is people that are working have a fear of making a change because they don't know where the economy is going in light of the world events. The second part of it is, I was analyzing this morning, so I was thinking about it. Here's what happens. You have a job, you're miserable.
Yes.
But now you're not going to work every day, you're working from home. So the misery index is not quite up here. It's probably down here, because you may hate your job, you may hate your boss, you may hate your coworkers, but you're not seeing them every day. You're on a Zoom call with them an hour a day, and then you're doing your own thing. So I think the misery index, as I like to call it, may have come down. So people that would go into work every day miserable, and I got to get out of here, they'll take the headhunter's call and make the change. Now all of a sudden it's, I'm home. Is the new job going to let me work from home? Are they going to require me to go in? I don't know if I want to do that. And we had the other challenge. Do I need to be vaccinated? If I'm not,
Ooh,
what's the vaccination policy? So there's another challenge thrown into the whole job search, excuse me, and recruitment process. So it's really become a very complicated process from what I could see.
it
You know,
is.
in a normal, let me just finish. In a normal market like this, where unemployment has come down and there's so many jobs, okay, the matches generally come very quickly. It's not happening. It's taking forever and ever and ever. And then we have the flip side on the client side. When there are so many jobs, the demand is there. I'm not sure all the clients are recognizing it because they're still taking a long time. So there's still a little bit of reluctance to pull the trigger very quickly. So it's not matching the true type of market we're in that we've been in previous years. You know, if I go back to pre-2008, okay, when the hot market was 2006, 2007, okay, you're making the matches like that. You're calling people, they're responding, you're getting them out, hires, done. Then 2008 came, everything came to a halt. Then 2009, 2010, all of a sudden, things started generating again. So this is a really weird market. It is. I don't know. I hope I answered your question.
No, I mean, you totally did. The fact is that with the unemployment benefits running out, what that means is that whether folks are employed part-time or no time, they're going to be looking for additional income. And so what
Yes.
we're seeing here is that maybe some of those roles or jobs will be filled. I think, Len, with the holidays coming up, you know, folks want some sort of stability. And
Yes.
so I see those roles getting filled. Now, the kind of jobs that we're talking about, that's something else. Now, you've heard us, dear listeners and viewers, talk about the jobs that are trending and those that have decreased. But like you said, Len, there, you know, tourism and hospitality, they may have taken a hit, but they also saw an increase these last few months. So
Absolutely.
we're in strange times. Speaking of strange, let's talk about the variants, right?
Oh,
on
yeah.
top of suffering from a pandemic, we have to now deal with the super coronaviruses, the variants, right, that are fighting for survival. In this
Right.
case, I'm talking about Delta now, and another one that's actually, fortunately, increasing in states like Florida, the Mu virus.
Yes.
What are your
I read
thoughts
about that.
about what are your thoughts about the variants, particularly when talking about the workplace?
Well, I'll tell you, I think it's scary. We're hearing from a lot of clients and companies and prospects that originally were coming back in September, then they pushed it to October. Now we're hearing January, February, April, because what's going to happen? I just saw on the news this morning that they said it's going to be a horrible flu season. Last year's flu season was nothing. They said this year is going to be terrible. So now are people going to get the flu and think they have COVID? You know, you have people out and about more, so there's a bit more of a spread of everything. I know I'm much more cautious again. We're back to our masks. We're back to starting to cut back on too many crowds again.
Yes.
So we're being very careful, and I think that we're going to see that. I haven't booked any meetings yet, which we were talking about. I haven't booked any travel yet. So I think in today's journal, they said that a lot of companies are very cautious. They're still holding back on travel, on corporate travel. They're holding back on bringing people back to the office full time. Though there are still some companies doing that, but I think we're going to see that getting pulled back again as we see a spread. I just lost it. I'm sorry. There was the travel, the people going back to work,
Right.
and
You
the
know,
cautiousness. Okay,
right.
the cautiousness about really pulling the trigger. I go back to pulling the trigger on hires. I think companies thought that there was going to be a boom come September. Now we're only at what, the 8th, so it's still early in the month, but there's still a lot of cautiousness about the economy, and people weren't wondering, are these variants going to cause any kind of a slowdown or a lockdown or a shutdown? So there's a lot of cautiousness. You know, everybody. I was very optimistic for September. A little less optimistic to be
Oh
frank.
boy. Now,
Yeah.
I will say, Len, I have traveled. I've traveled locally and internationally. And what I've observed is that there's definitely folks are being cautious in the air, but they're not stopping in terms of traveling. When it comes to the workplace, what we do see is actually, as you mentioned, is that companies are now stretching it out a bit and trying to see, but what's inevitable is that folks have to work. So here's my question for you, Len, on the client side, right? How are they handling the hybridization of the workplace? How are they handling the
It's
working from home and going into some sort of space?
it's a mixed bag. We have some companies that are saying, this is it, it's worked, it's fine, we're okay with it. I'm sorry.
No, it's
I'm
fine.
sorry, let me just shut that off. I lost you. Okay. You're gonna have to cut that.
That's okay.
Some companies are okay with it. They say we're gonna be hybrid, it's working, we're fine. It's opened up a labor pool for us because we may not need to hire locally. We can hire in other states. I've done it and it works fine. We have some companies are saying, no, we want to get people back, but we don't know when. It may be 1 day a week or 2 days a week or a day every other week. We're not hearing from a lot. There are a few that are still saying we want everyone back. But I have to tell you, the consensus from a lot of our clients is we're okay with the hybrid. We may do the I call it the IBM hoteling model,
Which
where
is what?
we have 5 desks and we have 10 people.
Yeah.
So they share. That desk is that person's Monday and Wednesday, and that desk is this person's Tuesday and Thursday, and they alternate, and they have to book it when they want to come in. And we're never going to have all 10 people in at the same time. It may be 5 and 5, or 3 and 2, or some variation of that. So we're seeing a lot more of that. I think, what was it? Was it Facebook?
Yes.
Said never coming back.
They're not coming back.
UBS.
Twitter said the same. So with that in
Yeah,
mind,
JP Morgan is bringing them all back. They're pushing them all back.
yes, they're pushing them all back.
And Goldman.
So in light of all this, in light of the certain uncertainties that are happening, right, with the variants, right, with unemployment ceasing, what sort of jobs are you filling, Len?
We're all over the place. We've got a lot of IT jobs. There's a lot of demand in IT, accounting, sales. Sales is hot for some reason. I guess everyone's looking to build up their sales pipeline. Compliance, a lot of legal spots. So on the financial side, a lot of operational spots. I mean, we really have a pretty broad. We're a small shop. We've got 130 open positions,
Wow.
which is like amazing for us. Okay, and we're pushing to get the traction on it. Okay, the biggest challenge again is getting people to respond. Okay, and
yeah. So
some of them are remote, some are in office, some are hybrid. So again, I think the problem is you have someone sitting at home. They're miserable. They're not that miserable. So they go, I'm not going to respond. I'll wait it out. Let me see what my boss is going to do. Let me see if they're going to make me come back. So there's still that uncertainty that's causing people to not make decisions. So that's the fear. People that are out of work, I think the unemployment, as I think it through, it's probably going to spur them on to start try to get back to work.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I'm not going to tell you that everybody that was on unemployment did not look for work, because I don't think that's the case. I think it's an excuse that companies make as to why they're not filling their jobs.
Right.
Okay. Let me see 5 more people. Well, there aren't 5 more people out there. Oh, there must be. Unemployment is high. Yeah, that's wonderful. We try to tell companies, if you see what you like, make a decision.
That's right.
And I use a line all the time. I say, they say, is there anyone else out there? And I say, there's always someone else out there. Okay. Do you want to keep looking for that next person and maybe lose the other one? And maybe the next one is not quite right. I draw the same parallel to dating. You meet someone, you think you fall in love, Say, well, let me see if I could find one more. Well, why? Either you're in love or you're not, right?
Absolutely. I agree.
Either you make the commitment or you don't. Okay. And unlike people that get divorced, but with a job, you hire someone, doesn't work out. All right, terminate them, or they
Yeah,
quit. I mean,
that's right.
this is life,
It
right?
is,
So
it is, it is. I agree with you. And I'm glad you mentioned that because it's hiring fatigue, interview fatigue is real. And generally speaking, what is the period of time it takes from finding candidates, Len, to having them land in their position? How does that take 3 weeks, 4 weeks?
it depends on the role. Okay, we tell clients it's generally 3 weeks to a month, depending on the role. Okay,
Right.
I know we could generally identify people within a week, 7, 8 days. Okay. And we always like to, under promise and over deliver. So maybe it'll take us 3 days, but we always say, give us a week because we'll know in a week what's out there and what we're identifying. Okay. Given the team we have and given the tools we have and the databases we access and whatnot, we know pretty quickly what's out there. Who's going to respond is another question. But the point is, from the time we send the resume, schedule the interview, go for a second interview, it shouldn't take more than a month. It really should not take more than a month. We're seeing deals going on for 2 months,
Really?
3 months. It's ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous. And I start to question, how badly do you need to fill the job? If you can go 3, 4 months without having anybody in the role, okay, unless you're replacing someone and they're in the role, that's a different story. But if you have a hole in your company and you're going 3, 4 months, 5 months, and let me see more, let me see 2 more, let me see 2 more. And I would question, do you really need to fill that job? Okay. But the good news is for candidates, here's the good news that'll come out of all of this. All right. I always tell my staff and my wife, in 52 weeks of the year, we have 6 weeks that we make our money. You know when those 6 weeks are? Now.
So
we have from now till Thanksgiving, because companies want to listen. You have a budget with a position and you haven't filled it, and your fiscal year ends December 31st in most places. If that's an unfilled job, it comes out of the budget. So a lot of companies say, or a lot of department heads say, I don't want to lose the role, so I better fill it. So we do see a big push the last 6 weeks of the, from now till, I'm kidding when I say Thanksgiving, but it becomes a little bit of a challenge from Thanksgiving to Christmas. But I have to tell you, we've closed jobs Christmas Eve. We've closed jobs New Year's Eve because they're real. So depending on the seriousness of the client, you can close 52 weeks a year. But this is when we always make excuses. The summertime is quiet. So beginning of September is Jewish holidays, right? June, everybody's graduating. April is tax time. So we can kid ourselves and make an excuse for why we're not closing jobs every month of the year until now. But you know what? If a client is serious, they're going to fill the job.
I
don't care what's going on in the world, right?
No, I totally agree with you. I mean, I remember in our previous segment of the unseen process of recruiting, right, that I did with Greg, we talked about how the end of the year is when the hiring is at its peak, right? Yep. And folks should not ghost their recruiters or anyone else, because that is the time when companies hire. So we're hearing it again. We're hearing it again. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Now, it didn't happen to this extent. No, I shouldn't say that, because actually last year with the virus, March, April, May were the worst I've ever seen in my 100 years of doing this. June, July, we started to see some more activity. We actually had a pretty decent last quarter last year because things were starting to feel a little bit better. The vaccine was coming. Okay, so, and we still had that situation where companies didn't want to lose the roles on their budget. So it wasn't terrible. And, this year it's been pretty active. We're still not, numbers wise, we're still not where we were pre-pandemic, but we're getting there, and, we're feeling good about it. Again, the biggest challenge is the candidates. right now, and the clients being willing to pull the trigger. We do have some clients that are very serious. They're pushing us. We're paying attention to them. We have one role that we're on third interviews. We started a week ago.
Wow.
So they're moving. They're
They're
moving.
moving fast.
They're moving. So you know they're going to close. Okay. They really need to fill this role. They're serious. And we have several like that. So, those are the ones we're going to pay attention to. The ones that say, well, send me the resumes. I'll get back to you in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. You think those candidates are going to be available in 3 weeks? You get their interest now, especially if it's someone who's working, or even if it's someone who's not working, who's actively interviewing. They come to you, they go into 3 more companies. They're going to go to the first one. First one that says yes, they're going to grab. Okay, especially if they're out of work.
Yeah, so I think, Len, what we've highlighted here is that even in the uncertainty of the job market, one thing is certain is that hiring will continue. Maybe a little slower, but it will continue. And
Yes.
for the interviews that are happening, we're seeing some are at a rapid pace and others are taking their sweet time, which means that they may very well lose those candidates that they're considering.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? Right.
Absolutely.
Well, Len, I think this is great. This one's quick, to the point, right? Maybe let's do this again in a few weeks. Let's talk about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Happy to.
yeah.
Happy to. This was fun.
It was a lot of fun. It's always a pleasure chatting with you,
Yes,
Len.
same here. Same here.
Don't go anywhere, Len. Dear listeners and viewers, thanks so much for joining us. Give us some feedback, like this episode, subscribe to the Global Advocate Career Podcast, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Bye-bye.